Here in just under 20 minutes' time, it'll be car number 2, the Toyota of Carlos Sainz, plus co-driver Luis Moya. Over the last 4 days, they've finishes to a World Championship season. Sainz started the final day with 6 Scottish stages left and a cushion of over a minute's lead over Juha Kankkunen, his only remaining rival for the world title.
The duel for the championship crown disintegrated before most fans had had their breakfast. Reigning champion Kankkunen entered the first stage of the day just over a minute behind Sainz on the leaderboard, but he emerged with a massive 4-minute deficit. The Dalbeatty mud had done its worst, blotting out the Lancia's windscreen and causing Juha to hurtle into a rock.
No, it just was slippery, hit one stone and broke the drive shaft. And the drive shaft broke the bottom arm when it cut. So the wheel was not gone, but it was just so very narrow stage and very difficult stage, so I just managed to come out the first, second gear slowly.
That cost you a lot of time?
No, not a lot, but over 3 minutes or something.
Carlos Sainz was now comfortably in the championship lead, but his bid for overall victory in this rally was being seriously challenged by another former world champion, Ari Vatanen in the Subaru. The 40-year-old Finn, more famous recently for his Paris-Dakar exploits, was faster than Sainz on the first 5 of today's stages, and fastest of all at Glen Trool. But he was battling to make up a 2-minute-plus deficit on the Toyota star. Behind him, Kankkunen, twice a winner here, was doing his utmost to make up for the morning's mishap. He was fastest at Lockfleet, and he climbed back into 3rd position overall. Marco Alain was still in 4th spot in the 2nd Toyota team car. Ford's main hopes of a top 6 placing still rested with Italian Mickey Biasion. The Italian had notched up 3 fastest stage times and had none of the problems that affected his teammate Malcolm Wilson. The 36-year-old Cumbrian was determined to put his problems behind him, however. He set fastest times on the first 3 of the day's stages in a bid to improve on his 9th position. By Lockfleet, Malcolm had reduced a 2.5-minute deficit on Tommy Mäkinen to just 2 seconds. Kenneth Eriksson was hanging on to 7th place in the Mitsubishi Galant, never out of the top 10 times today. You have to admire the tenacity of Colin McRae. After all his disappointments and yet another off-stage excursion at the start of the day, he set fastest time at Glen Gap and seemed certain to equal his best previous placing, 6th in 1990. And there should be a word of praise for Andrea Aghini, Lancia's latest star find. The 28-year-old Italian was heading for a top 10 placing on his very first British event.
So this is the final leaderboard, and a convincing win in the end for Sainz, 2 minutes and 16 seconds ahead of Ari Vatanen, who's driven so well in his Subaru. Then it's Kankkunen, Alain, Biasion and Colin McRae, as he was last year, 6th. Well, it's been a gruelling 4 days. On day one, McRae drove right on the edge. He was in the top 5 fastest in 6 of the 9 stages. By evening, he was third, just 25 seconds behind the leader, Carlos Sainz. If day one was quick, day two was even quicker for McRae's Subaru in the Welsh Forest. He set fastest times on 5 of the 10 stages. British hopes were high. McRae hauled in Sainz, then overtook him, at one time opening up a 12-second lead. He was looking totally motivated. That £100,000 prize was looking a possibility. The Subaru team were delighted. The script, they said, just couldn't have been better. By nightfall, McRae was the rally leader, 2 seconds ahead. The Welsh Forest had simply flashed by. But how things change. In the sunshine of the Lake District, it all started to go wrong. A puncture here which had been preceded by a minor accident on his way to the first Grisdale stage. Then things went from bad to disastrous. A problem with his front brakes left him with no rear drive. A transmission change looked the only answer. By the time he pulled into service, he knew his chances of winning this event had gone. He'd lost 4 minutes and slipped down the field. It was all desperately disappointing. The mechanics worked heroically, but everyone with Subaru was shattered, especially Colin.
I don't think words can describe it.
What was the problem, really?
We lost the front brakes in the stage, and as a result of that, it broke the transmission because we were braking the rear wheels all the time, and we only had front drive for 17 miles and no brakes.
So it could be said that Grisdale isn't really your favourite forest?
Not at the moment, no.
There you go, baby. Here am I. Well, you left me here so I could sit and cry. Golly gee, what have you done to me? Well, I guess it doesn't matter anymore.
The sadness of poor old Colin McRae, but surely his day will come. So with McRae out of the way, the big 3 took over this event. Sainz, Kankkunen and Oriol all in contention for the world title. And they fought it out in one of the toughest rallies in the world.
The three-way championship battle was, of course, an unexpected bonus for British rally fans. The season had been dominated by Didier Auriol, with a record 6 victories in his Lancia, and all the experts expected him to have become the first ever French world champion long before the teams gathered in Chester. And yet, after technical traumas in San Remo and Spain, he arrived here in 3rd place. A home victory in the Catalonia rally, added to wins on the Safari and San Remo, had unexpectedly rocketed Carlos Sainz to the top of the title table. Could the 30-year-old Spaniard throw a Toyota spanner into the Lancia Works' ambitions? Could he prevent reigning champion Juha Kankkunen, just 2 points behind him, and the frustrated Frenchman only 3 points adrift, from achieving a Lancia double? Carlos threw down the gauntlet from the very first stage at Alton Park horribly early on Sunday morning. Fastest also at Weston and Donington, he led the rally at the end of the first day and was 27 seconds clear of Kankkunen and 40 seconds clear
Barry Gill now reviews the best of the Brits.
No one put up a more doggedly determined performance than Malcolm Wilson. It was feared he might be off the pace after a year away from the action, testing the new Escort. Not a bit of it. Despite turbo and transmission problems in Wales and hitting a rock in Kielder, he set 7 fastest stage times and thoroughly deserved his best ever longboard result, 9th overall. Alistair McRae crowned an already supremely successful season with a virtually flawless performance in his Shell Scholarship car. Having won this year's British Group N Championship, he showed the World Group N champion, Gregoire de Mervius, the way home. He took victory by nearly 9 minutes. We just can't wait to see how he fares when he joins brother Colin in the Subaru team next season. Russell Brooks once again proved that experience is a great leveller in World Championship rallying. He didn't make a mistake worth mentioning as he brought his Sierra home 13th overall. Gwyndaf Evans must be hoping that next year's event avoids his native Wales. For the second year in succession, he failed to make it through his homeland, crashing out on the final Welsh stage. Vauxhall's Dave Metcalf was his usual spectacular self. One of the best two-wheel drive men in the business, he's certainly put the new Astra through its paces, on its wheels, and unfortunately, on its roof.
Slight left over crest continues. 70. Left entry, turn 90 left. 70.
Shit! What the hell was all that about? Quickly pop it back, lads. Go on, good lad. Go on.
Go on. Come on. 20. K left.
He finally came to grief in Kielder. Johnny Milner is certainly another great British prospect. He only tested